Welcome to Altitude After Dark. Broncos Colts react with DMac, and Mike Sanford should be joining me in just a little bit. We are thrilled that you are here. What a wild game for the Denver Broncos. Crazy game. Absolutely crazy. And it turned on the remarkable player about to cross the goal line fumble thing. I cannot understand it. Sean Payton can't understand it. The fact that it's happened more than once or it happens relatively frequently is crazy. It's something that Sean Payton was asked, "Do you show your team?" And it's like, no. I mean, I don't get it. I do not understand it. And boy, did it benefit the Broncos mightily. Incredibly. They'd be down 20-7. It was not going their way. It would have capped off a great run, and all the momentum swung to the Broncos after that. All of it. And Bo Nix, in my opinion, had his worst game as a Bronco, and they won 31-13. We'd love to get your reaction on the comment line. We'll try to get to you as soon as we can, and we'll have reaction from the locker room. Let me just start by saying what the most important thing of this game is in just 1 second. Don't let concerns about shifts in the market disrupt your long-term financial goals. Edward Jones financial advisor Beau Smith can help. He'll work with you on an investment strategy for long-term results. Edward Jones could give you the tools and knowledge for a steady approach to hitting your financial targets. So get started by giving Beau a call at 303-758-8500 or visit edwardjones.com/Beau-Smith. That's BEAU-Smith. Edward Jones, member SIPC. What's remarkable is the Broncos not even close come to playing their best. Not even close. And I'll give you the line on Bo Nix. It's not good. 20 of 33 for 130 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Jameis Winston thinks that's a bad line. He only took 1 sack, but his QBR out of 100 was 15.3. His quarterback rating out of what is that, like 156 point something, was 61.4. However, on the other side with Anthony Richardson, 17 of 38, less than 50%, 172 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Now, he did run the ball okay, 7 times for 46 yards. Listen, they were killed by that Jonathan Taylor screw-up. And then it was technically a fumble because it was behind. It was a backward pass behind the line of scrimmage. And I don't know what the hell that play was. Were they going to throw it again? I guess. And Nick Bonito just stepped in and took it for a virtual pick 6. Nick Bonito is playing on another level, folks. A whole nother level. And, that was it after that. I mean, 3 fumbles, including what was virtually pick 6. We're nervous about Patrick Surtain to a degree because we do not know how his knee/ankle, they reported it as an ankle, but he was limping a little bit in the locker room afterwards. Let's hear from Sean Payton, and we'll get to your comments as well and see how hopefully you're fired up about the whole thing. Sean Payton's initial thoughts on the game.
A difficult game just from an execution standpoint. There were a number of things that we have to improve on. Starting with me, at halftime, I had said to him, every key indicator, key to victory we outlined at the start of the week, man, we're doing the opposite relative to what we thought was going to be important. So we flipped the script a little bit in the second half. I thought the punt returns, obviously the takeaways were big. We found a way to win, but that'll be. We don't have a lot of time, but we can't go home tomorrow night when the day's finished and not have looked at that film and made the corrections. And that starts with all of us too as coaches. But we struggled to find any rhythm offensively. Certainly we turned it over. But we made enough plays in the second half. I thought the punt return game helped us. That was significant. And, that's where we're at.
Beau on the turning point of the game, Beau Nix.
Beau, you guys finished the game with 24 unanswered points scored. What was the turning point and the key to the game flipping in your favor?
Well, honestly, I felt like the second half the defense, played lights out. It felt like it kept, turning the ball over to us, and then Marvin kept returning punts. And so when you have good field position, like I said, eventually we got to do something with it. And we could have even done more offensively with those with that field position. But we just got to clean up some things. I got to be better. We got to do a good job of handling the short week and fixing the the stuff. But it's not like it's it's hasn't been all year. So it's been the last couple of games. We got to get back to what we were doing a few weeks before, and then I think we'll be in good shape.
Okay, it was not a good game from Beau. We'll hear from more in Beau in just a little bit, and we'll get to the nuances of the game in a second. But, hey, man, let's reflect on something. First time since 2016, the Broncos will finish with over a 500 record. Jets aren't doing that. Broncos are going to make the play, but they have a 91% chance of making the playoffs. Chargers lost today. Miami lost today. Cincinnati did win. Let's see. Let me see some other scores that matter. Let's go here. Okay. Quick little scoreboard here. Packers, by the way, up on Seattle, 20-3, and Geno Smith just went off. Sam Howell now in the game. Chiefs won, of course. They beat the Browns 21-7. Although Patrick Mahomes seemed to get a little dinged up. We'll see how he goes. Bengals did win big time over the terrible Titans, 37-27. So they stay interesting. Commanders squeaked out a win against the Saints 2019. Ravens beat the Giants 35-14. So if the Steelers go how the Steelers could go and the Ravens keep rolling, it could be the Broncos at the 6th seed playing the 3 seed, the Ravens. Nobody wants that. Cowboys did beat the Panthers, although the Panthers led in this game. The Cowboys did come back and beat them. Jets got a win over the Jags, 32-25. Texans did beat the Dolphins, and at 6-8, that's lights out for the Dolphins. So their season is kaput. Nice knowing you, Dolphins. 20-12, they lose. The Bills, what a game against the Lions. Holy cow, that lived up to expectations. 48-42, wild game. Goff threw for 494 yards. Goodness gracious. Outrageous game there. Eagles beat the Steelers 27-13. And yeah, I am not surprised the dysfunctional Eagles got over on the Steelers. And the news for the Broncos on that is, again, if the Steelers, who are now only a game in front of the Ravens, sort of collapse here a little bit, it's the Ravens who would be in third place. And I got to think, I mean, then the Steelers would be, I guess, ahead of the Broncos, right? Would they? Sure. Well, we'll see how it turns out. It depends what happens. There's a lot of balls up in the air on that one. And the Buccaneers smoked the Chargers 40-17. So the Chargers aren't feeling, and now the Chargers are a game behind the Broncos. And that's coming up quickly on Thursday. That's a huge one. So more or less, things went okay for the Broncos. The Dolphins are toast. The Bengals remain interesting. The Broncos are now the 6th seed. It's crazy. So it is time just to reflect a little bit on the success you've had, Sean Payton.
Coach, I know you said you have
bigger ideas, or the team isn't thinking just about having a winning record. But that being said, this is the first time since 2016 the Broncos organization has had a winning record. I wonder if you could reflect on that and what that says about this group and what your expectations were.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it until you asked. Look, the appeal, the appeal to me was the tradition here, the years of sustained success here, and the importance of this game here. Like, there aren't many cities that you can say, man, you can only find a few, and then when you find the right ownership group, and there were certain things that were really important in the football tradition and history here was very appealing to me because, look, I've known Peyton and John forever, right? But it was somewhere where the fan base, like, the expectations were high, and you want to be in New York, LA, or Vegas if you're in entertainment. You don't want to be in Rhode Island. And if you're in this industry, you want to be somewhere where it's really important and the expectations are high. And so it's nice to get the ninth win. We'll have some cupcakes for you guys as you leave, and then we'll go from there.
Well, thank you for the cupcakes, Coach. And by the way, they were metaphorical cupcakes. There weren't literally cupcakes there. However, the Broncos do lay out sandwiches for the media, and I always make sure I grab a sandwich on my way out the door. For later, the big turnaround in this game, Sean Payton.
Yeah, Sean, what was your reaction when Jonathan Taylor dropped the ball there at the goal line? Do you think that was a turning point, the punt return?
Well, look, that was significant. That was significant. I don't get it, but I'm not going to try to. I don't know what that was going to be. Yeah, it was a significant play that you go from breaking a long run for a touchdown for your team to us having the ball. There was a number of plays, but that was one of them.
Yeah, that was a huge one. And that's where the momentum swung. Nick Bonito was sort of icing on the cupcake, and then more turnovers. And the Surtain thing is concerning. And I wish he just, after being hit so hard on that interception, first of all, you make the pick, you're flat on your back, just stay down, start there. And then, hey, man, when the game's done, we don't need Pat Surtain in the game. And then that didn't look so great. His injury?
Coach, after Pat Surtain sustained the ankle injury the first time, were there talks on the sideline about whether to put him back in the game given the score?
Anything we do relative to a player's injury is always like, if the medical staff feels like he can go back in and he's healthy enough, there's never any, well, we don't need him now. It's just strictly, is he healthy enough to play? And if he's not, he won't. And if he is, he will play. And that's, I think, the only way you can approach things like that.
So we hope that Pat Surtain is okay. If not, and Riley Moss did work out before the game. Man. I don't know. It'd be tough. Chris Abrams' dream. Levi Wallace wasn't even active. That's where he is in the doghouse, by the way. And they did call up another younger player. Let's see here. Yeah, the Broncos, I'm sorry. Just scrolling through things. It's not that important. But they were messing around with their defensive secondary all day long. They were playing kind of different types of defenses. And on the first drive, it didn't work. The first drive was terrible, where the Colts just ran right down the field, basically. And Anthony Richardson looked like Superman. But that was kind of it, aside from the Jonathan Taylor turnover, which was inexcusable. And, what do you really say? It's you don't understand it.
Yeah, Sean, what was your
I mean, Sean didn't understand it. I didn't understand it. Nobody understands it. I'll tell you what is great, though. You were down. You were turning the ball over. Beau was having his worst game as a pro. And then the Broncos forced turnovers.
You mentioned the takeaways, obviously, I think 5 in total, and a bunch in the Monday night game, too. Just your defense has sort of started to get on that roll where they're taking the ball away.
Yeah, the thing we talked about in this game was the number one thing. Because Seattle does a good job forcing fumbles, but it was about the ball, and we've had a stretch now where we played quarterbacks that have turned it over, and these guys, were one of those teams where we felt like if we do a good job with the football, they'll give us the opportunities. Now, I didn't know it was going to be 5-3. I would have rather it been 2-0, but that's how it ended up. Yeah, we've got to be better offensively, especially when we're playing a team that's going to turn the ball over like they do.
Okay, so what a win for the Broncos. What a weird game for the Broncos. Kudos to Bo Nix, frankly, for being pretty lousy. And he talked about his self-doubt that he had. He talked about it after the game. And good for him just to sort of suck it up. I mean, it wasn't great to look at.
What do you think in the first half? We're not used to seeing him turn the ball over like
Yeah,
that.
listen,
what do you
I
think
gotta-
of the finish?
No, I get mad at myself. A couple of the calls I gave him, and he had one read that he knows better. But look, it was just one of those nights where we weren't as efficient, especially against a zone defense like that. You're not going to hit as many big plays, but I think early on he was like 6 for 8, but then there were just a few forced throws and then a few calls that were done by me that I've got to be better.
Let's look at some of the numbers here. Again, Bo Nix, 20 of 33 for 130 yards. Not good. Sacked once, 3 interceptions, 3 touchdown passes. All right. Got a touchdown to Cortland Sutton. That was near the end of the game. Adam Troutman had a touchdown. And who else had a touchdown? And I don't want to go too far without mentioning, Nate Atkins. That's right. Nate Atkins had a touchdown as well. The Broncos defense was pretty extraordinary. The 13 points were all in the first half. They tossed a shutout in the second half. There was only 1 touchdown drive because Jonathan Taylor was a moron. And Anthony Richardson was, Tim Tebow-like. Threw for under 50%. Quarterback rating of 36.3, QBR of 34.7, sacked twice, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. Bad. That's a bad game, my friends. Jonathan Taylor did run for 107 yards, but he gives away the long one because he's a moron. Which is wild. So they ran for 149 yards. Meanwhile, the Broncos running attack is lifeless. 27 carries for 72 yards. Jaleel 7 for 21. Javonte Williams, 6 of 15. We were joking in the press box, me and the other Muggles. The over-under on carries was 5. He hit the over. Estimate 5 carries for 13. I mean, nobody was any good. So, back to the drawing board on the running game, and the countdown to Cam Scatterbo is on. Cortland Sutton, 3 catches for 32 yards on 9 targets. He was off. Listen, I know there were some tough catches, especially that one in the end zone that he missed. I've just seen him make those catches. That's all. So he was off his game for whatever reason. But you did have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different guys catch a pass today, with Little Jordan 10 and Devon Vele 11 targeted. Vele, who's been a star, 1 target, no catches, no yards. Little Jordan, no catches on 1 target as well. 4 catches for 20 yards for Mims, but that wasn't Mims' most important thing. Of course, Mims' punt returning was extraordinary, and the Broncos greatly benefited from his punt returns. 3 punt returns for 97 yards, including a long of 61 that almost went for a touchdown. Listen, man, these type of plays, this type of yardage on punts is extraordinary. It really helps you out and gets you going, especially breaking off a long one, just short of a touchdown. But boy, does that rise your team up and give yourself a break. Will Lutz hit his only field goal attempt, so good job for him. Riley Dixon, decent enough as a punter, inside the 23 of 6, so pretty good. It's fine on the punting. And the Broncos defense was led yet again, by Nick Bonito. It's becoming Casa Bonito left and right. So not only did he have, I guess, the fumble recovery, but he had 5 total tackles, a half a sack, tackle for a loss, quarterback hit, and he's just becoming a superstar right before our eyes. Not a good player, but an absolute superstar. 76,496 at the game. The line was the Broncos by 3.5, so they crushed that. The over-under was 43.5. So, wow, man, got the over by a scooch at 31-13. And on the defensive side for the Colts, there were 2 tackles for a loss and 1 sack. That's it. Not bad. 3 total tackles for a loss. Sorry. So 3 tackles for a loss and 1 sack. You know, the defense was the Broncos' worst enemy today was themselves, frankly. Let's face it. Oh, man. Sorry about that. We'll get things corrected for you in a second. My bad. I can fix that just like that. Sorry about that. My bad. Hopefully that wasn't going on that long. My apologies. The Broncos win, and now they face the Chargers on a short week. So let me get to some of your comments here, and we're thrilled that you're joining us here tonight. Any update on PS2? That's a good question. We were told it's an ankle. He was limping around in the locker room afterwards, but he was limping around on his own. So hopefully, I'm not optimistic. I think that's just a lot of bad luck that he got hit after he intercepted the ball, and I wish he just stayed down. So that's what you got. Let's see here. Let me go up and take some more. Could someone tell me why Nick Bonito's touchdown celebration was a penalty? Well, you're not allowed to do certain things. You can't do the throat cut. You can't do the gun stuff, and you can't grab your crotch. I don't know what else to tell you. You just can't do it. I'm not exactly sure what the penalty is going to be, but there'll be a penalty. Old man handling tech. Yeah, the old man figured it out, though, didn't he? The old man figured it out, didn't he? Old man's pretty good with the tech. Not gonna lie. That's Benito Selly was hilarious. Agreed. Good question. There's been at least 2 other beast mode junk grab Sellys this year. Yeah, you can't do it. Dick shot on the tutty. Can't do it. Buffalo, the only team for Denver to fear in the AFC. Oh, no, I'm afraid of the Ravens. I have significant fear. Well, I don't know if I'm really fearing the Chargers right now. I don't know if I'm fearing the Chargers right now. Chargers just got whooped up on by the Bucks. Whooped up. They lost to the Chiefs. I don't know. We'll see. I definitely have fear of the Bengals. I hate that game. I hate that game for the Broncos. I hate that for a million reasons. Where is Coach? Still crying about Genty. Congratulations to Travis Hunter, who is the Heisman Trophy winner. And if you're from Boise State, you get used to losing. All pelvic thrusts are illegal. Well, you hit them 3 times. You can't get that done. Thursday night game is going to be a barn burner. Could be historic for the Broncos to get back to the playoffs, but their likelihood of making the playoffs are at 91%. So let's preview what the Broncos have coming up in just a second. It's Altitude After Dark. We're so glad that you're with us here tonight. In times of financial uncertainty, how can you stay on track? Call someone who's invested in your success. Beau Smith, your Colorado Edward Jones financial advisor, can help you. He'll work to build a complete picture of your financial life, including your unique goals and passions, so he can help you achieve what's most important to you. Call Beau at 303-758-8500 to schedule an appointment today, or visit edwardjones.com/Beau-Smith. That's BEAU-Smith. Edward Jones, member SIPC. All right on. Final score 31-13 for the Broncos. More of your comments here. Possible to go deep in the playoffs. Probably not this year. Probably not. And I definitely don't want to be a Debbie Downer, because I love what this team has done. Teams that you'd have to get past to go deep are the Bills, Chiefs, and Ravens. Listen. Which one of those three teams are you going to have an easy time with? Bills, Chiefs, or Ravens? Which is it going to be? You'd have to tell me that. I think you can get past the Steelers. But I think that's probably as far as you can go this year. But frankly, I thought the Broncos were going to be on a trajectory like the Lions, where in 2026 they'd be playing in an AFC championship game, and maybe, cross your fingers, hopefully a Super Bowl. They'd be certainly good enough to win a Super Bowl by 2026. They're way ahead of what I thought they would be. Way ahead. And tonight was another great night to prove it. Now, that being said, and this is why, if you do recall, when I said the Ravens game was like, meh, wasn't that important, wasn't a must-win game, wasn't an expected win, was really not that big deal to lose. The Chiefs game, I thought, was a little bit more important. But you could look at the schedule in this 4-game chunk, and this chunk is now done. And I know you say, well, maybe there's a chunk after bye week. You always knew you had a chunk of 4 games after that Chiefs game that you were going to be favored in all 4. 3 of the 4 were at home. It'd be silly not to look at those 4 games in a chunk, and you went 4-0 in that chunk of games. That is extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. Extraordinary. And you find yourself in the catbird seat. You likely need to win one more of those damn games to lock up a playoff seed. You don't have to, because there are definitely ways for you to get in the playoffs losing these last 3 games. There are. But you're not going to have a losing record. You certainly know that for sure. And how deep can you go? It's a good question. Again, I do not mean to be a Debbie Downer. Cats, feline AIDS. Can you beat the Colts, or rather the Ravens, the Bills, or the Chiefs on the road? I think the best shot is actually the Chiefs of those 3. I don't know. The Bills have given up 1 million points on defense lately. So maybe you got a shot against them. They gave up 1 million points to the Rams. They gave up 1 million points to the Lions. I don't know. Good problem to have, though. Good conversation to have. It's amazing that Beau can throw 5 interceptions and Denver can go 2-0 in the last 2 games. Is it sustainable? Probably not, but nice to see the team rally around Nix, who struggled but finished strong. Yeah, Bo Nix talked about that and talked about how he was rallied by his teammates, how they were helping him out, stay emotionally into it, and that it's hard to not have self-doubt in those types of situations. You know, good point by you. Good point by Bo Nix. Just sort of hang in there, man. You got to hang in there. And the defense and special teams made it a lot easier to do that, which was great. He will learn from them. Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. The Broncos aren't going into Buffalo and winning. Well, you're probably right. If we get the 5th seed, we beat Houston, Ravens, and Chargers, beat Steelers, next game, boom. Listen, if that can happen, it's not impossible for that to happen. And I'm so thrilled that we're sitting here talking about playoff possibilities. This is fun, man. December 15th. Happy 88th birthday, by the way, to my father, Peter McKee. 88 years old today. He's doing better. And I know, and I thank you and appreciate people asking about Dad. Thank you about that. He's doing better. Spent a month in the hospital and rehab this year. Not easy. Really, really hard. Yeah, so the Broncos, playoff-wise, God, the Ravens are tied with the Texans, but they're behind the Steelers, so it's 2 different divisions. This is why this division shit you should just get rid of and just have records, the best teams. The divisions are stupid. Whatever. So really the question, can the 9-5 Ravens catch the 10-4 Steelers? The Steelers have a better conference record. They've got a better. Is that Sanford? You're coming on now?
Yes,
really?
sir.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to extend the show till about, I don't know, an extra hour just to see how weird we can get.
Anyways, yeah, Coach, I've had basically a half hour to give all my thoughts. I don't know if there's anything I haven't uttered, so we're kind of a open vein for you to dig into if you want there, Coacher.
Yeah, what a weird game, an awesome game. The Broncos don't have a run game, and my big epiphany on the drive home was that the Broncos' run game this year in 2024 is their defense's ability to score points. That's their run game. Because the defense, this football team has an uncanny ability when something might be deficient, something else steps up big time. And I think that goes back to the culture and the alignment of this overall franchise organization. Defense was fantastic. And I think the hero of the game was Marvin Mims. Okay. To be able to play on such short fields because of what he did as a punt returner. The value of a punt return, it's so weird. You can go an entire season or you can go 15 weeks in a row and see nothing from the punt returner. And then all of a sudden, just by virtue of a windy day at Empower Field and the ball's kind of going, taking a different flight path than maybe normal, all of a sudden the punt returner has a chance to be highly impactful in the game. Marvin Mims was awesome. And Bo Nix, you look at 2 quarterbacks, one in his second year of his development in AR5. He let his mistakes snowball for an entirety of 4 quarters. Bo Nix showed again that he does have a response mechanism. It was a bit of a stinker of a game. The stats are ugly. He did find a way to throw 3 touchdown passes. But, man, that ability to put bad plays behind him is what makes him, in my opinion, it's the most impressive thing about Bo Nix as to why he will be the franchise quarterback for the Broncos for at least 6 years. And I don't know about beyond that. You never know.
So what do you think we learned about Bo today?
Nothing new. Okay. All right. Nothing new because I have believed all along that when he starts a game bad, he just doesn't let it snowball. Over the course of a 4-quarter game, doesn't allow bad games to stack. You could say the first 2 games were bad. I disagree. I think they were very, very similar to how most rookies play in their first 2 games as an NFL starter. I don't think that Bo Nix has stacked 2 bad games. And when I say bad, I'm talking about insurmountable, that your team cannot win. And Bo hasn't done that. The one thing that I don't love right now is Bo looked really uncomfortable when the game started. And there's 2 games where I'm a body language guy. I've coached the quarterback position for a long time. I may coach the quarterback position again someday. You never know. I read the position. I know the body language. And in the case of Bo Nix in the New York Jets game where the rain was bad, he just looked like he was obsessed with his towel. He wanted to get his hand warmer situation right. He kept throwing the towel back. Give me another one. And it just looked like he wasn't, his headspace wasn't in the right place. Today was one of those weird days because, at the stadium, it's 53 degrees when the ball's kicked. the stadium's big enough that it does kind of screen off enough wind. But a quarterback always knows when there's massive gusty winds going into the game. And that played a factor, I think, psychologically for Beau, where I don't think he looked as comfortable when the game started as he did, say, in the game against Cleveland or certainly in the game that he had against, like, say, the Raiders in a controlled environment. That's one of my question marks is you get into some nasty playoff football. Is Beau just going to have, I don't think he's soft. I don't think he's not even remotely mentally weak, but man, there's just certain things that kind of just agitate a quarterback. And sometimes it's wind, sometimes it's moisture of the football. And I've seen it twice this year that's kind of what I saw.
Okay. Jonathan Taylor dropping the ball. The reaction in the Broncos locker room was, if I made that mistake, I wouldn't be on this team tomorrow with Sean Payton as my coach. Sean Payton was flabbergasted that a play like that could happen, saying that, no, they have not shown film or coached the players to not do that, meaning to me, like, nobody, I mean, how stupid can you possibly be? Like, he literally was saying, I don't understand that. So never mind him showing film or coaching it. They haven't. They don't think there's a need to. And the players' reaction in the locker room was just, just dumbfounded that could happen, and can't imagine it happening with Sean. Your reaction to that?
Yeah, it makes me disgusted as a former coach. I've coached in multiple teams where we had a team rule. One place was extremely excessive with this team rule, that in every time you touch the football and the play comes to an end, the very next act is to hand the football to an official. And in practice, we would have managers with stripes on, jersey stripes. I mean, they were dressed up as officials, and we would physically two-hand the ball to the official. And it seems dumb, and it seems like it's the no fun league. It seems like it's, taking away the swag of the game of football. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
If you exercise that obsession with the care of the football, would you ever lose a game that you should have gone up by what would have been 17 or 13? You would have gone up 13.
27. It would have been 13.
13.
But still, it would have been backbreaking because, first of all, it's a 40-plus yard run, and the Broncos had no momentum.
The offense was playing abysmal football at that point in time.
And it just gave this crazy life where there was none. Crazy.
And it's almost like this kind of life that's almost, even I look around from our press box view where you look at the fans and they're like smiling, laughing, giggling, like, can you freaking believe this, man? Finally, it's our year.
Right.
And those same emotions reverberate with the guys on the field too. Like, this really happened? Hell yeah, it's our year,
What does it mean it's our year? What do you think that means for the Broncos this year?
Here's what I'd say. I'd say to the casual observer of football, and we'll even say the casual Bronco fan, these are the breaks that you haven't gotten in the last 8-9 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would say deeper than the casual fan and the horseback observation is you create your breaks because you have a damn good culture. You create those breaks because you don't make that mistake. And I keep going back to this great saying that I got while coaching in the Big Ten, because Big Ten football has a tendency to be a bit offensively challenged at times, right? Mm-hmm. But there was a Big Ten coach that I worked for, and he has this line from somebody else, and it was, more games are lost than won.
Mm.
And the Indianapolis Colts were proof in the pudding that they lost today.
No doubt about it.
And sometimes, with that mindset, sometimes it comes down to, okay, we maybe not, we don't have our A game today.
Mm-hmm.
Let the other guy screw it up.
Right.
All right. Let's. I know Beau threw 3 picks. I know that.
Yep.
But he reeled it in.
Yep.
He reeled it in. Let the other guy make the mistakes. Let the other team be the dummies.
How do you think the weather impacted things today?
I think a little bit with the kicking game, some of the punts. I think that those. I think when that ball gets way up there at that stadium, it's the flight of deep passes, the flight of punts, maybe kickoffs. I don't know. And then field goal game, it didn't seem like it was affected. Was it? It was 100% day, wasn't it? Field goals, both teams.
It was. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think it was a little bit more of a psychological thing for maybe both quarterbacks. Although I thought AR5, came out and threw some damn BBs.
Yeah. But boy, he's all over the place.
He is a bad quarterback. DMac.
And I've heard it described this way too, that in the NFL, okay, listen, that ball's got to be not here, right?
Yep.
Not here, not here. And his ball is, I don't know, bro. I mean, who knows?
He doesn't know. His receivers don't know. His head coach doesn't know. I mean,
nope.
I know this.
He threw some darts though. He threw some lasers, no doubt about it.
The top end talent is incredible. Like, this is the physical attributes, and that's the nature part. The nurture part seems like the Indianapolis Colts have really gotten this thing wrong as a franchise. Yeah. Not just Shane Steichen, as a franchise. I mean, you can see that this is a quarterback that only played 13 games in college, not 61.
Right.
Like Beau Smith played.
Correct.
You can see that he is learning baseline quarterback, overall, like quarterback lessons in the National Football League. And the reality is, you're in year 2. There ain't much hope. I don't know if this franchise is going to be able to put their neck out on the line and say, yeah, that's our guy for year 3. There's just not a lot of time in the NFL to allow a quarterback to develop.
All right, let me go here. How you guys feeling about VJ's coaching this year? Talk to me about. Levi Wallace was scratched. He's in the doghouse of doghouses.
How about Chris Abrams-Drain today, though, man? He looked pretty good.
Talk to me. What'd you think?
He looked awesome. I mean, he had a couple. So early on in the game, I thought he did a really good job on some of the perimeter screens that you can tell Shane Steichen's trying to get AR5 into some form of confidence. And Chris Abrams-Drain played physically at the point of attack, block destruction, kept his leverage on the football, and tackled well early on. And then he had a chance to make a play down the field, and he did. He used great technique. He looked confident. I think he's got the athleticism, the youth, maybe even kind of like dumb naivety, just to be like, dude, I don't care. I'm going to go out here and ball. And he did. He was really good. And so we'll see what happens with PS2. I heard he was walking around in the locker room fairly well.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, a little bit of a limp.
Fairly well,
Right.
But yeah, it sounds, just looking at the pregame clips of Riley Moss running around, I think he'll be back up. I do, for Thursday. It wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, well, that would be great. They could certainly use him, so I'd be all for it. Herbert does have, they're reporting Herbert might have a sprained ankle.
Yeah, so he's had so many lower half issues, man.
And they look like garbage today with the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
So that train may be rolling off.
They're on a 2-game losing, aren't they? They're on a 2-game loser, aren't they?
Well, yeah, they lost to the Chiefs. Now they've lost to the Bucs. Good teams.
Yep.
They got a playoff team with the Broncos coming up. So I don't know, bro. I think it's gonna be a tough game. There were a couple of missing in action today. Vele was missing in action. He had nothing going on. I thought Cortland, although he had a touchdown catch, which was nice, late, kind of garbage time. It's kind of like hitting a home run, up 9-1 in the 8th inning. That's sort of
he didn't. But I don't know. There were a couple times that I just felt like he wasn't attacking the football today.
It was odd. It was an odd moment. Maybe
he was like letting the ball come into him. I'm like, dude, just go use that awesome frame and go attack that rock.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, and then of course Nick Benito's been lights out.
He's unbelievable, man.
I think the Broncos offense is just going to attack the Chargers. And despite, I don't know, man, it's hard predicting things. I mean, it looked like the Broncos were on the verge of getting blown out today for moments. Like,
where's
this game going? And then it turned around. All right.
Real quick on so this is one of the key things for me, and it's honestly like I think this defense and Beau with a hot hand and Sean Payton as a play caller, I think it's not just a postseason team, but a team it can get on a postseason run. I believe that.
We were talking about that right before you got on. So
the thing that gives me a ton of pause, is that through this year, the lack of complete commitment to running the football. Which I believe is also because there's been a complete commitment to the development and maturation of a rookie quarterback. I don't know if those two things could have gone hand in hand. But I look at these stats, and I'll tell you this.
Okay.
Leading rusher, Bo Nix, 8 carries, 23 yards. I don't love that. I don't love it.
Yeah.
2.9 yards per carry for Bo. Cool. Like he made positive yards, all that. I don't like the fact he's a leading rusher when it wasn't even part of the game plan. Jaleel McLaughlin averaged 3 yards a carry. Javonte Williams, again, averaged 2.5 yards a carry. Audric Esme, 5 carries, 13 yards, 2.6 yards per carry. I don't like it.
I get it. I got you.
And that's the only thing that gives me any form of pause. Is just I've seen this too consistently that there's a void of the ability to run the football, and you're gonna need that. You're gonna need it with some of the weather that you're gonna be playing in potentially down the stretch. You're gonna need it with the ability to put a game away. And if you haven't been hard-headed enough to run the football at any point in the 17-game regular season, how the hell is it just going to magically appear in the postseason? I just don't believe it.
Well put. And, to go deep means you have to beat the Ravens, Bills, or Chiefs at their place to go deep if you want to go deep.
Yeah, and honestly, like you win. I think this team's capable of winning a game or two in the postseason. I do.
Wow, that would be incredible. But then if you're going to win two, you've got to beat the Ravens, the Chiefs, or the Bills in their place.
Or the Texans.
But I don't think you have to win two to do that. I think you could face.
If the Broncos win out, I think they have as good a shot as anybody to be in the 5 seed. And then you play the Texans in Houston.
You start right off the bat. Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
Well, no. But that to me is not going deep. That's just winning them. That's winning a first-round game, which would be wonderful.
Yeah, but you win a first-round game with the rookie quarterback. Most likely the defense did some really good things in that game. You become a really dangerous team in that second round.
Listen, I would love the teams that I would not mind playing in the first round: Texans, Steelers, Chiefs. I'm just telling you. I just don't think the Chiefs got it this year. I think they're going to burn out. I think they're going to be and I know they hear it every single year, and everybody's wrong every single year. But I like how they played against the Chiefs. And
I like how everybody in the NFL's played against the Chiefs.
What's remarkable, we'll see if that last Chiefs game means anything to the Broncos. We've always said, well, maybe the Chiefs don't need that game. The Broncos may not need that game. Would that be something? That'd be crazy if it was meaningless to them.
I'm hoping the Broncos go beat the damn Chargers. And I've gone since the beginning of the season. I said that this season will be deemed a success if you inch your way towards being the second best team in the AFC West. And you've already eliminated the Raiders, whatever you want to call it. Like, just how the hell do you not beat the Raiders every single year twice? You did it this year. Check. You weren't the same team when you lost to the Chargers that I think you are now, or you have been over the course of the last 6 weeks.
Great.
Say 4 or 5 weeks. Beat them.
Yeah.
Freaking beat the Chargers. Beat them. And I think this is a good win to come off of, because it's a win that left a bad taste in, I think, collective mouth, certainly on the offense side of the ball. So you got a chance to go get better and put a better product out there 3 days from now, 4 days from now.
Yeah. All right, Coach here. Before we leave, quickly, your thoughts on the closest Heisman vote in 15 years. How about that? And Travis Hunter from CU, just by a Heisman hair, nudges out Ashton Jeanty.
As a Boise State alum, a Colorado resident, a former coach at the University of Colorado, I am so happy this thing is over.
It's been too much conflict for you, basically.
Well, yeah, and you know what the biggest conflict has been for me?
What's that?
Is that I keep getting called a fence rider. That I'm just riding the fence on both sides.
Both sides? Both sides are calling you a fence rider? By the way, if folks don't know, Coach does this sort of thing in Idaho for Boise.
Every week.
Yeah.
Pre-game, post-game show. I mean, I'm not quite the DMac of Boise, Idaho. Yeah. I don't do 13 podcasts a week, but
you do your share.
I do usually 3.
Okay.
So as a result, I have to prepare to talk about Boise State football on a weekly basis.
Right.
I do the damn post-game shows. So I've watched every snap of Ashton Jeanty for the last 2 years.
Right.
And also, I work in Colorado media.
Right.
Guess what other team I watch every single snap for? Okay? So if you want to call me a fence rider, you're an idiot. I've watched every single play of both of these incredible players, and my take is both of them were incredibly deserving of winning a Heisman Trophy. And guess what? The vote matched my take.
It was close.
And I think that Travis Hunter is unbelievably special. And the moment for me that I loved was I loved seeing Travis Hunter at a podium.
Yeah,
I loved seeing him talk from the heart. I love that it wasn't a written speech, and it was entertaining. It was emotional. The embrace with Deion Sanders. I looked at my wife. I'm like, hey, man, I might have gotten fired by that university. And I know I wasn't the real head coach, but at the end of the day, that guy replaced me, right? At least, the role that I was in for 8 weeks. Yeah, there's a lot of reason to have bitterness. In that moment, I'm like, that's real. That's really real. That embrace, that journey, Travis Hunter, he knows what that man did for him. And frankly, Coach Prime knew what that player, Travis Hunter, that legend, did for his career as a coach.
Right.
And it was amazing. I think as a Boise State alum, I was rooting for Ashton Genty, but as a fan of football, I was really happy with either outcome because those two guys were just incredible.
I got caught up with the when Travis was talking about his dad, not Prime, but his real dad, Travis Hunter Sr., who's only 39 years of age. And as we found out, missed a lot of the fall for Travis's game because he was incarcerated for 90 days. And I'm not sure if his travels were restricted because it was on early release the first week of December. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. Travis seemed to allude to something that, he wanted to be there, but he couldn't be there. Travis Hunter Sr. said to media, I'll be there for real things like his wedding and his draft or something like that. But it does make me wonder if there's other mitigating circumstances, Coach, that maybe Travis Hunter Sr. just didn't admit and, he couldn't be there for that reason. Because I've always thought, like, who are the real parents of Travis Hunter? Because Deion's taken on this his dad sort of role, which I totally believe. But, when you found out, like, ESPN.com did that huge article on him, and listen, if you didn't know, he moved from Florida rather, to the suburbs of Georgia because it wasn't going great down there.
Right.
And it wasn't a safe environment for him. And lived with his mom, stepdad, and siblings in like a one-room hotel where consequently a couple years into high school, he actually moved in with a high school coach, which we actually have heard that story from kids over the years, that they get virtually adopted by a coach. And Travis was one of those kids.
I mean, DMac, and I don't mean to interrupt your thought here, but I think when I heard Travis Hunter talk about his journey, I heard him talk about his father. I even heard him say something, I think it was in the post-speech interview he did up there on the stage, that he was trying to keep his mom away from the microphone, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. DMac, I have coached nobody to the athletic and football talent that Travis Hunter is, but I've coached a lot of young men with similar stories. And that moment brought me back to a time where I have been in my office as a head coach, as a position coach, as a coordinator, and a player comes into my office and tells me something very real. And in the case, whether it's been players that come unto me and say that their best friend was shot and killed over the weekend, and just absolutely melt into your, like, just need somebody to hug because their parents aren't there. Or the recruiting process I went through trying to get Najee Harris to go to Notre Dame. And I got to know Najee Harris, and I got to find out that Najee Harris, he lived in a car for a year, in a car, in the parking lot across the street from Antioch High School. And to think that people overcome so many odds, and yet there's so many kids that think it's tough to be asked to go to, 5 practices a week for travel baseball or travel softball. Some of these young people that I've been around, the ability to overcome what are typically insurmountable odds that typically end up with incarceration or an addiction. I love these stories. It's what makes this sport so special. It's what makes me so angry when I hear any form of vitriol or shade thrown in the direction of a player for leaning into who they culturally are. I think that's one of the beautiful things of this sport. And I loved every bit of the authenticity and emotion from Travis Hunter last night. And I don't know that you could have gotten that maybe from any other candidate that was on that stage.
We'll leave it on that note. Your 401k is likely one of your most important financial plans, but it's only part of a comprehensive financial strategy. Edward Jones can help you understand how your retirement assets fit into your entire retirement picture so you can work toward meeting your unique retirement goals. Contact Beau Smith, your Colorado Edward Jones financial advisor at 303-758-8500 or visit edwardjones.com/Beau-Smith. That's BEAU-Smith. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Okay, Coach, give me a real final thought as we get into this week.
Denver Broncos are going to be playoff bound. I'm not going to say they are, but they are. It is so deserved, and this is a really fun team to watch. Even as nervy as that stadium was for, 2.5 quarters, there's just an inevitability and an expectation now that wasn't there for the last 9 years that something good's going to happen.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to make a play. Somebody's going to turn this thing around. And that's a powerful drug, brother. It's a powerful drug for a team to have that type of confidence. It's really fun to cover. I actually love this team. I've fallen in love with this football team. And I'm not a fan. I didn't grow up a Denver Bronco fan. Hell, I don't even know what team I grew up a fan of. I moved 72 times. But I really like this team, and it's a lot of fun to cover. It's a lot of fun to watch these games. And it's great to be up there, even in that very sterile press box, and be able to have some fun, watch this team.
I thought I was taking one for the team today, Coach. I really did.
Never did. You still have it.
You know there was effort, though. You know I tried.
Hey, Christmas cards, though. We're good. Everything's good. Just
make sure you keep listening to Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. We'll be back with Altitude After Dark on Thursday night, which will be a special edition as we'll follow up instant reaction to the Broncos and the Chargers. So that should be a hoot, Mike. Should have the whole crew join us like they did the other night. And that won't be at 8 o'clock. That'll obviously be post-game. So we're looking forward to that, and we'll talk to you on the radio tomorrow morning on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. See you, everybody. Have a great night.